Prepare to be captivated by the business story of the week, hosted by me, Shaheen Shan. Join us on a journey through the twists and turns of entrepreneurial triumphs and setbacks. Immerse yourself in the narrative and witness the magic that turns dreams into reality. This is Business Story of the Week.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Business Story of the Week. I am your co-host, Joshua. And today, like we always do, we navigate the world of entrepreneurship, business. We bring you the best, the brightest, the titans, the veterans of their industries, the experienced ones, to give you that insight, that motivation. Michael looking around, but we know you are the man for us today. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Hall of Fame speaker Michael Kerr is one of the North America's leading thought leaders on workplace culture and the author of 9 books, going 10 today, soon, including The Humor Advantage, Why Some Businesses Are Laughing All the Way to the Bank. That's the title of the book, by the way. And The Jerk-Free Workplace. With over 20 years of experience, ladies and gentlemen, as an international business speaker and consultant, Michael helps organizations create positive, engaging, and fun work environments where employees thrive. His expertise in workplace culture has been featured in various media outlets, and he is known for his energetic and humorous approach to inspiring change. And boy, don't we have a treat for you today. Michael, how are you doing? Thank you for being on the show.
I'm doing fabulous, Joshua. It's great to be here, everyone. I'm excited to dive into this topic and go wherever our conversation leads us.
Fantastic. Well, I'm always up for humor. I'm always up for a bit of comedy, a bit of fun, and it's really great that, of course, that we have leading minds like you and leaders like you talking about making the workplace more fun. It doesn't have to be dragging. It doesn't have to be boring.
No.
It needs to be fun. But Michael, before we get there, what happened? What is the story of Michael Kerr? Where did the journey begin? Maybe something happened in your childhood. Have you always been the class clown? Or did anything happen throughout your life that led you to here, being a Hall of Fame speaker? And why fun in the workplace? What led you to this niche?
Yeah, so I was a little bit of the class clown sometimes, although I have to say I was incredibly shy as a child, very, very shy. I was an introvert. I still consider myself primarily an introvert in most situations, which people are surprised to hear because I get up in front of audiences of sometimes 2,000 people and have this crazy, energetic, funny style, but I am very much an introvert still. But how I got into this and this topic, I always did, I think, have a pretty good natural sense of humor. I always tried to find the funny in situations, even challenging situations. But the reason I launched this journey is because I was a senior manager working in how I can only describe as a soul-sucking, fun-sucking workplace that was sucking the life out of me. And it was killing me, literally. And we know the impact of dysfunctional workplaces on people's mental health, on their physical health. There's actually a book called Dying for a Paycheck. It's right in the punchline there that talks about how so many of our illnesses, our diseases, and even deaths are related to dysfunctional workplace culture. So I had enough of that. I had to get out of that environment, and I decided I wanted to make it my mission to talk about how work should not be killing us. It should just be the opposite. Work should be energizing us. It should be fueling our sense of purpose and meaning in life. Look, work is far too important, right, to be taken seriously. It's a huge time sucker, we may have noticed. It affects our marriages and family lives and mental and physical health and so many aspects of our life that we need to remember the importance of work. And humor and fun at work are such, in my mind, essential ingredients that don't just drive results. They also reflect a
Right.
positive, inspiring workplace where people
Right.
can just be themselves and be more human and be more real at work.
Yes, exactly. And it has to be, it should be enriching your life, right? Instead of sucking you dry, making you, sucking the
Yes.
life out of you. You work so you can sustain your life, you can sustain your family, you can do things that you want to do. But with the culture now of like, putting your head down, just do everything that you're required to do. It's just become such a norm to put your entire life into work, and just like it's become so normal for work to be stressful. um but it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be, because
No.
it should be, again, it should be enriching our lives, right? But Michael, what is the challenge? One of the biggest obstacles that I'm looking at is because you came from a senior management job. It was not so fun at all, but this culture is still perpetuated, or still, continuing in all the big corporations. And you've come from such a big corporation as well, especially at a time where this was accepted as normal too. But now you're coming in and you're trying to influence this change. What are the biggest obstacles and challenges that you've seen? And what are the biggest changes also that you've seen from back then to fun or humorous workplace to today? Has anything changed at all?
Yeah, I think so. I think in the last 20 years, well, I started close to 25 years ago now. I think in that time there's been a huge shift in terms of
Mm-hmm.
awareness of the importance of workplace culture.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're not there yet with a lot of organizations and a lot of leaders, but I think certainly it's trending in that direction, that a lot of leaders are way more aware of the importance of workplace culture, and the fact that cultures don't just happen, right? You have to be
Mm-hmm.
intentional about it. You have to
Yes.
focus on it to
Mm-hmm.
make sure your culture really does matter, that you're not just
Mm-hmm.
paying lip service to it. And there has been
Mm-hmm.
a shift as well in the acceptance or the importance of fun and humor in
Right.
the workplace, for sure, over the last 20 years. But still, as you say, there are obstacles. I think you still, and I certainly do, need to sell the message that we're not talking about doing anything that will harm your bottom line business results, just the
Mm-hmm.
opposite. That
Mm-hmm.
these two things go hand in hand. If you want to run a more successful business, I don't care if you're a
Mm-hmm.
small business, medium sized business, big organization, we
Mm-hmm.
know from so much data that
Mm-hmm.
focusing on culture and focusing on having more fun and
Mm-hmm.
injecting your workplace with more humor
Mm-hmm.
drives bottom line results. When employees are happier, they perform better. We're talking about improving collaboration at work, improving
Mm-hmm.
innovation at work,
Mm-hmm.
so you come up with better business ideas,
Precisely.
managing your stress, being more resilient, creating a more
Precisely.
resilient workplace culture through humor
Mm-hmm.
and fun. All of these things tie together to create a workplace culture that is ultimately going to drive extraordinary results, no matter what business you're in.
Fantastic. Michael, I want to highlight that just a bit, because you said that this doesn't affect your bottom line, right? It doesn't. But the thing is,
Mhm.
there's so many efficiencies, and it's been accepted as a norm. An unhappy employee is not going to put all their energy into it. An unhappy employee is not going to work the hours or the duties that they're actually being told. So there are so many inefficiencies across your organization that is actually, in fact, affecting your bottom line, because you're just not putting in you're just not putting in the effort to make sure that your people are happy and fulfilled. But Michael, you're coming into this as a consultant, as a renowned speaker. You go into organizations worldwide, you transform their workplace cultures. What are the specific and most common strategies that you've applied to overcome, these soul-sucking workplace cultures? What have you done? What are the changes that you've employed, basically?
Well, for sure, ultimately, you want to start with the senior leadership team, right?
Okay.
So much starts at the top. Now, I have seen examples of culture change that was driven from the bottom, that was very much driven from the employees. But let's
Hmm.
be realistic. Let's be honest. I mean, most of the time, it has to start at the top. You need
Of
to get
course.
support. You need to get buy in. You need to create culture champions at that
Hmm.
leadership level. So it starts by identifying what are the gaps in your culture? Where do you want your culture to get to, and what's not working for you in your culture?
Right.
What are some of the red flags? And so walking through some questions like, what are some of the unwritten rules that employees are using to guide their behaviors right now? Every workplace has unwritten rules, right? And this is what your real culture is all about. Having these conversations around, what are your veterans telling your new employees when they arrive on your job? The end of the first week, everybody goes for a coffee, you go for a beer, you talk about work, and then the veterans pull out a pipe and they start saying, "Oh, kid, I've seen stuff around here," right? And they're talking about what your real workplace culture is like. So you've got to have these really honest conversations about what the current state of your culture is and where you want it to go and how you're going to measure it. And then it's a matter of infusing every strategy and making sure your strategy is interlocked with your culture as well. So making sure that you are, from this point on, hiring with your culture in mind.
Precisely.
Hiring people that are going to grow your culture, not just be a culture fit for you, be a culture fit, but also who are going to actually move your culture in the right direction where you want to move it. I talk about the importance of making sure that you communicate your cultural values relentlessly, that you bring your values to life. So they're not just lip service, right? Everybody talks about their values. We put them on the nice poster with the puppies and rainbows and unicorns, and then we ignore them, right? And here's the way to look at values. Who is going to disagree with any of these nice values that any organization has, right? And a lot of companies have the exact same values as one another. And yet company one is rocking it. Company two, not so much. It's a soul-sucking, fun-sucking place. It's because of those old cliche sayings, actions speak louder than words and talk is cheap. Nobody's going to disagree with a value like teamwork. Yeah, I don't really believe in that teamwork stuff, right? So we have to bring those to life as leaders. So we talk about strategies to make sure people and leaders are translating what those values actually mean. So they're meaningful. So we turn them into observable behaviors and actions. We have to make sure the senior leaders are modeling them and living them out loud. And so talking about ways that they can actually be seen living those models out loud. And then making sure the third piece of the puzzle is that you're holding employees accountable for those values. They can't just be lip service. You've got to hold employees accountable who aren't living up to your values, and you've got to celebrate employees who are rocking your values. So that's a big part of the discussion. And then we talk about connecting employees to a greater sense of purpose within your culture. And we talk about just this simple but really important idea that everybody in your organization has to embrace is every time you make a decision within your company, are you considering your culture first and foremost? So how will this decision affect our customer service? How will it affect our budget? Whatever the case may be, you also have to get into the habit of asking, how will this decision create the culture that we want and reflect the culture that we want? And I glazed over really quickly a really important point there too. What you need to do for this to work, for you to really change your culture in a dramatic way, in a substantial way, and in a relatively fast way, you need to make sure everyone in your organization is a culture champion. So it's not just at the top. Wow. Everybody understands, in fact, that their job isn't just to do their job. And I love how some companies do this. Some companies actually frame this where they say, hey, your job isn't just to do your job. We are going to assess you. We are going to evaluate you. Half of the evaluation, the assessment, is going to be based on how you are contributing to a positive, fun workplace culture that the rest of your teammates want to show up on a Monday morning and contribute to.
That's fantastic. That's a great way to put it. First of all, let's highlight that. Culture champions, you need culture champions in your team. But more than that, it starts above. I love that. I love this saying when you say, as above, so below. Right? Because it starts there.
Yeah.
If the senior leadership don't really believe in their values, then it's all talk. I love that you put up posters. Everyone puts up posters with a kitten, with all these quotes, with all these words, but it doesn't really get practice, and that's so normal. It's such a norm today. And then, they come together in those drinking sessions, and then they say, "This isn't such a good, workplace culture after all." But accountability, celebrating your culture champions as well. Those are really great, precise advices right now and tips for, big or small, right, Michael? Big or small businesses, corporates
Yeah.
or not, this is very important. And it's not just about just, of course, you bring in culture, you bring in fun and humor, you make the workplace fun, but it really starts with this. It starts with values. And correct me if I'm mistaken that it starts with establishing what your culture is first and foremost. And because if you don't know that, then everything's just, up in up in the air. No one really knows what's happening, basically. Michael, I
Yeah.
want to talk a little
And
bit about.
you don't have a
Go ahead.
defined culture. You have an accidental culture, as I say
That's what
sometimes.
I was. All right, that's precisely. You don't have a defined culture. You have an accidental culture. I love that. We need to clip that. Um, Michael, I want to talk a little bit about your. Um, hold on here. If I'm cutting out, just bear with me. We're gonna have our editor edit this out. But I want to talk a little bit about your books. First of all, you have 9 books written
Yeah.
so far. We have another one coming out. The most recent ones right now is The Humor Advantage and The Jerk Free Workplace. Talk to us a little bit about this. And first of all, what is the humor advantage in the workplace? And who are the jerks in the workplace? How do you make a jerk free workplace?
Yeah, yeah. Well, those two topics are very much related. So the humor advantage, why some businesses are laughing all the way to the bank, is very much
Mm-hmm.
focused on practical, relevant ideas from companies that I've researched all over the world, that I've spent time with in Europe and
Mm-hmm.
North America, all over the place, where you can actually see these ideas in practice and how they affect the business,
Mm-hmm.
how they affect the workplace culture, and including how they
Mm-hmm.
affect the customer service. So I've got ideas in there on how you can use humor to create a more inspiring customer experience for your
Yeah.
customers and stand out with
Yeah.
your branding, stand out with your
Wow.
marketing, how humor can improve your communication in the workplace, how it can improve how you meet in the workplace, how you
Mm-hmm.
recognize and appreciate employees in a fun way. So again, all of those things funnel up to creating more success in your business ultimately.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all
Mm-hmm.
about using humor on purpose, safe humor, of course, positive humor. I'm
Of
not
course.
talking about humor that's going to get you fired, but
Mm-hmm.
positive humor that's going to help you achieve your goals.
Mm-hmm.
As
Mm-hmm.
one of my favorite clients says, they have this wonderful mantra: work is hard enough as it is without making it any harder. So let's work hard,
Yes.
but hey, if we have a little bit of fun along the way, we're going to be even more successful. So that's the goal of the humor advantage, is to make the idea of humor and fun safe for businesses and to show them all of these ideas that they can implement in their own situation to drive results. Now, the
Mm-hmm.
jerk-free workplace is about frontline leadership, with this idea that if you want to create a more fun, collaborative, inspiring, rocking workplace, then the more leaders you can create in your organization. And that is the
Right.
job of a leader, right? Not to create more
Okay.
followers. The
Yes, of
job of
course.
dictators is to create more followers. That's why we love those crazy nuts. The job of a true leader is to create more leaders. And so the
Yes.
more leaders you create in your organization, on your team, of course you're going to be more successful if
Yes.
everybody is thinking like a leader.
Mm-hmm.
And so the book, The Jerk Free Workplace, kind of presents this idea of a spectrum where, of course, we want to make sure nobody's behaving like a jerk, because that kind
Mm-hmm.
of sucks the fun out of the workplace, right?
Yes.
So I talk about what are some of the behaviors, what are the things that annoy people in the workplace about their
Uh-huh.
teammates, about working on a
Uh-huh.
team, and let's make sure we're not doing those things. Let's make sure we are all bringing our best selves to work, our best
Mm-hmm.
attitude to work, because we know
Mm-hmm.
attitude is a huge driver of success. And
Mm-hmm.
so on that spectrum, let's start by talking about, okay, here's what we need to do to make sure we're not behaving like a jerk. But then let's move along the spectrum to talk about what are some of the behaviors. How do you need to communicate more effectively
Mm-hmm.
to be seen as being a leader in your organization, no matter what your position is, recognizing that true leadership doesn't have anything to do with your job title or what position you are. on
Precisely.
that hierarchical tree in your business. It's about your character. It's about your attitude and your ability to influence the people around you in a positive way.
Character is the most important, not just in the workplace, but it really starts with yourself. If you have a good character, it spills over in all the other parts of your life, and you just lead better. Um, I also like what you said
Yeah.
that
And ultimately, that's all we can do, right? Is start with ourselves, start with our own
precisely.
behaviors, our own
Hmm.
attitudes, our own responses to things in the
Hmm.
workplace.
Precisely, and how you respond to life, that'll spill over in how you respond at the workplace. I love how you also said that the more you hire leaders, the better your business is because they think like leaders. They think that they're forward thinking. They are, looking to forward to further the business in the corporation, your organizations, and the whole team. Michael, I want to talk about more since we're on the topic of your book. I want to talk about this new book of yours that's coming out. We need the audience and listeners need to know. Talk to us a little bit about this. What is it going to be about?
Yeah, thank you, Joshua, for allowing me to talk about the book. I'm really excited about this book. I'm probably more excited about this book than any of my other
Wow.
books. It's called Small Moments. Sorry,
Okay.
it's called. I have to remember my own book titles here. It's called Small Moments, Big Outcomes:
Oh,
How Leaders Create Cultures That Drive Extraordinary Results. So it
wow.
is very much focused on what leaders need to do to not just be a leader versus being a
Hmm.
manager. And by
Hmm.
the way, I'm not knocking managers. Some of my best
Hmm.
friends are managers. We need managers, but there's a
Hmm.
difference between thinking like a leader and behaving like a leader versus being a manager. So the
Hmm.
whole book is about not just how to be a better leader, but how to be specifically a culture leader, how to put
Right.
your workplace culture front and center to get the results you deserve in your business. So
Hmm.
it walks through all of these different elements of what culture leadership means, the different traits of an inspiring, effective culture leader, how
Right.
leaders can make sure they are living their values and communicating their values out loud, how leaders
Hmm.
connect employees to a sense of purpose and meaning in their jobs. No matter what
Hmm.
job you're is,
Hmm.
no matter what job you do, you can find a sense of purpose and meaning in that work. And so I share examples of that. I talk about how to be an effective communicator as a
Hmm.
culture leader, and how to run your meetings more effectively so that your meetings contribute to a better culture, but also reflect a better, more
Right.
inspiring culture. And I talk about how you can create a culture of recognition and appreciation and celebration so that employees are truly engaged and motivated, inspired. So it covers a whole range of topics. I touch on the importance of leading a hybrid workplace culture. I talk about the importance of leading a service first workplace culture. The book is packed full of ideas, packed full. I know of inspiring stories that I think
Hmm.
people are going to find really, really inspiring, no
Hmm.
matter what position they are in and no matter what company they work for or what their business does. There is something, I think,
Hmm.
for everyone in this book. So I'm very excited about this book, Joshua.
Fantastic. Yeah, the excitement is flowing. We can feel the excitement. It seems like this is so much more different than all the other books that you've written. Um, but more than that, Michael, everything that you've said and everything that you've shared with your books and your insight and your wisdom, it all feels like it's breaking down the norms of workplace culture, right? Because you're talking about how to
Yeah.
lead meetings, how to lead, your purpose, giving purpose and meaning to your employees, to your team, and it's just breaking down all these norms that you know meetings have to be harsh, like corporates, have to be right to the point and they have to drive their people hard to get results. But what we've seen from a long, long, long time of doing that, we've seen that the results, it just doesn't work that way. You know, at the end of the day,
Yeah.
we are human and humans and people need that kind of recognition so they can contribute a little bit more, not just a little bit more, but substantially to their own lives and enrich those others around them. I love it. I love that you're breaking this down. You're taking away all that culture. Michael, as much as I want to keep you around, I need to wrap this up a little bit, but not before I ask this question. I always ask this question to all my guests. What does the future of workplace culture look like for you? A humor in workplace culture, fun in the workplace culture. What does that look like to you in the next couple of years? And what are the aspirations of Michael Kerr? Where do you come into the picture when it comes to the future of workplace culture?
Yeah, that's a great question. My hope for workplace culture, as I said early on in the interview here, is that we're trending in the right direction, that we are putting people first and foremost, that we are putting humanity first and foremost, that we are going to create cultures that are more compassionate than ever before. This planet needs an infusion of compassion like never before. And I honestly think that the workplace is one of the most important fundamental units in our society around the globe, because our workplaces affect our, as I said, our mental and physical health. But more than that, they affect the environment. They affect our communities where we do business. They affect our families and our children. So let's put humanity and people front and center and create workplace cultures that aren't so focused on the almighty dollar at the expense of humanity, at the expense of people's well-being and the expense of people's lives. Let's put people front and center. And my hope for my own career is that I can continue this journey of sharing this message around the world to as many groups as I can, to make as big an impact as I can in any way that I can. So thank you for this opportunity.
Oh, Michael, thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for the insights. It gives me optimism. I'm pretty sure not just me, but the rest of the audience and listeners, giving us optimism that, there are leaders like you at the forefront, breaking down the norms and, breaking down what has been accepted and introducing this, more optimistic, more humorous, more fun, and more well-being focused culture in the workplace, and why it's so important. Thank you, Michael, for your expertise and your leadership in this space. I'd like to give you this opportunity. Where can we find you? Where can we connect with you? Where are you most active at? And where can we, look for this new book that's coming out and all your other books?
Yeah, well, all of my latest books, you can find them on Amazon. They're all on Amazon there. You can get them on Kindle. You can get them in ebook format or print version on Amazon. People can find me at www.mikekerr.com. That's MikeKerr.com. And I'd invite people, if you're interested in this topic, if you're interested in a weekly reminder, an infusion of ideas, then please sign up for my weekly newsletter, Inspiring Workplaces. And if you sign up for that newsletter, you will get the free ebook, 401 Ways to Create a More Inspiring Workplace.
Oh, that's fantastic. The title alone, I feel like, is good value, good nuggets, 401 Workplace, and it's free. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, to our audience and listeners, make sure you grab that. Make sure you get on that. Michael, thank you so much for your time. I speak for everyone in in this space and in our community, thanking you for being a voice in a humorous workplace culture.
Thank you. Thank you, Joshua. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much. And for our audience and listeners, see you on the next one.
All right, so here's the thing. We try to get a little bit better every day, but we can't do it without you. So if you like the video, make sure to like and subscribe below. And if you have any comments, just leave them in the space under.